Playing with the camera. There we go. Hello. Just waiting for a couple of others to join and we'll get started on the Q&A. Figured we'll tackle some tank tracks whilst we wait. So these are from the VK4502 kit that I've been building. Well, this is the second one actually. Just tidy these up a little bit. Good evening, Zep. How you going, mate? You'll have to listen to me humming for the time being. I'm sorry. We'll give it a couple more minutes yet. Just lining these little pads in the backside up. I know people love these tracks. I will never understand why. What about you, Zep? Have you built any with the individual track links? Fan or no? Just getting the Revel contactor clear. There we go. And now it's working. Haven't built a tank in a long time. Well. Yeah, I do love my armor, but I really wish the manufacturers would have a vinyl set of tracks and a set of link tracks just to sort of make everyone happy. But we'll give it another minute and a half, and then we'll get started. Move that up a little bit. That's a bit better, isn't it? And we'll make sure that we just flatten that out a bit. Now, if you're looking at that, you might notice I've put flat tank track and then one with the locating pin on it. I can't think of what it's called now. The horn on it. So it goes flat, horn, flat, horn, flat, horns, on, so on, so on. There is actually an uneven number of tracks per side. So we do end up with one area with two flat track lengths as opposed. So if you're looking at that going, oh, he's made a boo-boo. Yeah, it's not quite. Technically, it looks a bit funny, I suppose, but not quite. All right, so let's get cracking with the question and answers. So we'll get started on that. But beforehand, I'll just quickly show you here. So those of you that are on my Facebook page, you would have seen my little Ender 3 3D printer is up and running. That was my very first 3D print. Yes, I know it's a dog and it looks like a bit of a dog's breakfast, but hey, it's my first one and I was happy with it. And I've been tweaking it since then, and I am now printing out a final one, but I'll show you just the difference in quality. So that's just tweaking a few of the components, not actually mucking around with anything with programming or anything like that. It's just a basic test piece, and just tweaking the mechanics of the machine. So the some of the bands, I've got these strapped. I can only think of fan belt. They are belts to run the platform back and forth, and just tightening those up a little bit, and making sure my heights are correct, and it's getting there. So looking forward to finishing the test piece. I'll put the update of that on Facebook, and we will have some prototyping coming up soon, hopefully. Now, just on that, here is a work in progress. So we're just having a look at a stand that I'm making, or base that I'm making, for the Bandai series of 144 scale Rebel fighters, basically. So this is the Y-wings or the X-wings, A-wings, so on and so forth. And one thing about these bases, I mean, I like them. I think that they're actually quite good. You can adjust lots of different positions and play around with it a fair bit. They are a little bit, when it comes to the Blockade Runner, it's got the same base, and it's just really sort of struggles to hold the weight of the Blockade Runner on it. So that's what made me sort of think of this idea. And basically, I'm just making these, or planning to make these. So this will fit into the base, and we've got our little Rebellion symbol on the bottom there, and it's still positionable like with the normal ones, like with the normal Bandai base. So I'm thinking individuals, and I'm going to be doing an Imperial one as well, but I'm also thinking of possibly doing a base, a slightly larger one, so we could put, 3 ships on the same one, or whatever. So let me know if you have any thoughts on that. It's something that's I'm definitely going to be playing around with coming up. So, but that's just a plaster master with a pin on it, and a bit of the base implanted in it, and I'm going to just refine that. I'll probably use this as a basic mold, and cast a couple of resin pieces, and then toy around on the resin pieces for my final molds, and go from there. But yeah, I think that should work out quite well. The plaster is obviously a bit hard to work with when it comes to filling and everything like that, so that's why I'll jump to the resin from here and go from there. But yeah, interesting, I think. Anyway, I could just be talking crap, but let's get on to the questions and answers. So the first question we have was from Kevin, and it was regarding fixing a clear plastic piece that was damaged once it was removed from the sprue. He's seen pieces online with no marks at all, and he was wondering how to correct this. Well, that is a doozy of a question straight off the bat, mate, and an excellent one. So thank you very much. First thing is, we're going to have a look at an old AMT kit here. So this is the old AMT X-Wing, and you can see it's got multiple areas where it's joined to the gates for the sprue, and it's a bit hard to pick up on camera, but you can see there's a raised portion over the top of that clear section there. Now, really the biggest problem that you'll find, and reason why this happens, is really where the gates are located to the sprue, so where it injection molds to the part that you want, and how big that connection is. And it can be a real pain in the backside to remove it. So we're going to show you on this one, because this is going to be a demo piece. But if the manufacturer's done a reasonable job, and you see how brittle that is, so it's quite easy to fracture it if you cut it too close, so try and cut away from it. if the manufacturer's done a reasonable job, then you will be able to hide these pieces quite easily. This one, not so bad. So what I will do with this is I'll file that down with the scalpel and just slowly start removing pieces just to carefully work it and work down to the base there. And then once I've made that part flush, I will then level off that part, and that's going to be hidden under the paint. So that's a good example of being careful, and yes, it's going to be hidden by the paintwork. But what happens if we remove one of these side ones and it damages the canopy? So say it's actually on the glass piece. And we have another example of that here. So this is a canopy of a Boomerang. And Boomerang, for those of you that don't know, was a World War II Australian aircraft derived from the Harvard, if memory serves. But you can see on this part here, see how that joins right onto the front of the canopy glass there. So that is going to be a pain to remove. The process I would use would be the same, and I'm not going to do it on this one because I'm actually going to get rid of this kit. So I want to leave it on there. But I would cut it off a little bit away, file it down, or slowly work my way towards it, and make it as flat as possible without trying not to damage the canopy. Right, so from there, let's assume we've still got a little bit of a mark on there. What do we do? Well, okay, a couple of things. You can sand it off using a fine sandpaper or sponge. Very fine grit, I would be looking sort of 2000 and upwards to work on that, and then hit it with polishing compounds. Tamiya has a fine, medium, and a coarse polishing compound. I'd probably just use, I mean, the coarse, you can start with that if you want. Me, I tend to use the medium and then just do the fine because we've hit it with fairly soft sandpaper anyway. And we're going to lose what little raised details on the front of that area there. It's unavoidable. So we just have to try and work with that as best we can. And that would be an example of where, I'll just try and zoom in on that for you. There we go. It's a bit better, isn't it? That'd be an example of where the manufacturer has really not put much thought into how that part's going to be removed, how the model is going to get that part off without actually damaging it. Right. We get it off, we damage it, we've polished it, sanded it back, all that sort of jazz, and we've still got marks on it. Well, then what do we do? Okay, so the most common thing that people will do for a long time is use future floor polish. So they would dip the part in the floor polish, give it a nice coating, shake off the excess, and then put it onto a paper towel and let it dry. And hopefully that'll fill all the imperfections on the surface and help remove that effect. Now, future floor polish is a product normally found in the US. I mean, you can find it in other countries, but it's normally a US-based product. And I believe they changed their formula a few years ago. If you look online, you'll see people are trying to sell the old bottles of future floor polish for a king's ransom. So we're not going to bother with that. So what else do we use? Well, there is a product from AK called Glass Coat Gauzy Agent. And it is basically the same deal as future floor polish. It is a milky residue, and that will dry clear. And the process is the same. So we give this a bit of a shake. We dip the part, take it out, put it on a piece of paper towel, and let it dry. And that will work the same. And not only that, this should last you quite a while. It's not a huge bottle. It's 100 ml, but it's big enough to dip most canopies in, and it should last a long time. The other thing is it's nowhere near as expensive as what people are trying to sell the old bottles of Future for. So I think this cost me 10 Australian dollars, so it's about 7 US. Not a huge amount at all. And there are other size bottles. I got this one because it was nice and tall, and that'll help. The last thing you can try, and I've never actually tried it, so I'm not going to recommend it, but the last thing you can try is using a clear resin, 2-part resin, and trying to work that into the gap. that method I think is going to be very, very tricky to get to work, and I don't see it really producing much better results than using the Gloss Coat Gauzy agent. So that's really the best I can help you with there, mate. I would try and, as I said, use a very fine sandpaper, sand it down, and it's really just, I mean, it is some kits it's unavoidable, but a lot of the more modern kits, the manufacturers, avoid this nonsense now because it's obviously creates headaches for us. I'll show you an example of a relatively new kit so you can see what we're talking about. So this is a Kitty Hawk Viper, which we've just received, and I love it, absolutely love it. And we're going to have a review coming on this one soon. So for starters, I mean, the old AMT kit, not the old AMT kit, the old Airfix kit, the canopy was just loose in the box, so it's going to get damaged and scratched and everything like that. The AMT kit, they did bag them, I believe, but this is just the difference with some of the manufacturers these days. Kitty Hawk has all their clear parts in a protective box, bagged. All right, and you've got these nice big areas. You're not going to get damage on those. And if you look at where they've put all the attachment points, it's at all points around the canopy. They've got framework on them. So when you remove those, even if you do a tiny bit of damage, you can hide that with the paintwork. So that's really the best way for manufacturers to do it. Make our job a heck of a lot easier when we're building them. And yeah, other than that, it's one of those things that I have to put up with sometimes, mate. I can work on it and get them looking better, but I never get them looking perfect. And that's just, as I was saying, simply down to the location of where they attach to the sprue. Right, next question. And feel free to ask questions live. That's not a problem. So the next question was from Renjiro. And it was, why do Gundam modelers use lacquer paints but military modelers use acrylic? Well, I think you'll find that a lot of military modelers use acrylic just because it's an easier paint to work with. It's quite a forgiving paint. It's much less toxic than, well, not toxic, but it's less harmful for you than the lacquer paints or enamel paints and things like that. And therefore, it's a bit easier to airbrush and stay safe while you're airbrushing, and vent out a room with the exhaust fan, all that sort of stuff. So it's a bit easier to work with. I would say people that use the lacquer paints are using them because it would give you a very nice finish. Certainly, you'll find a lot of car modelers and things like using it as well, and that's simply because of the finish that it gives you. The next thing I'd say is there are lacquer paints that are coming out now with more military modelers in mind. So if you look at Australian armored vehicles, for example, they have this 3-tone camo scheme, and there have been a range of paints recently launched in Australia. The brand name escapes me now, that are specifically for the Australian vehicles, and they're all lacquer-based paints. There's another range which is enamel, and otherwise people can usually substitute the correct colors with some Tamiya ones. There are also other paints too, mate. So there's enamels, the lacquers as we covered, the acrylics as we covered, and there's oil-based paints. So there's quite a few paints that get used. I'm going to be building a Gundam hopefully in the near future, and I will be using acrylic for that, and that's just because for me it's easier, safer, and it's a more forgiving paint, I think, too. It's if you make a mistake, it's easier to fix it and still have it looking nice, as opposed to a bit tatty, and really having to work hard on the finish to get it to look good. If you've made a mistake, that is. So I think that's really the only thing you'll find. What else? Enamels. I don't mind using enamels. Use them for little washes these days. When I first started out in modeling some time ago now, I'm not going to mention exactly how long ago that was. I used to brush paint everything using enamels. and that was just my go-to. And now, obviously, I use the airbrush, and I hate brush painting acrylic, so I really don't like it. I never seem to get a good finish with it. So if ever I have to brush paint, if I can, I'll go to an enamel paint to do that. Now that is pretty much it for the questions. So there was a couple of questions, and that was it. If you have anything you come across in the meantime, feel free to shout out for the next video. We'll try and do them weekly. And I thought, just to cover a little bit more time on this one, we'll have a look at a few products that I got in during the week. So these came in as part of some builds that I'm doing, and we thought to show you these. So the Arbor Porsche turret cannon, or the L71 88, and L71 88 for the King Tiger with the Porsche turret as well. So Tiger B, same thing. So essentially, that's the same barrel, same gun, and it's come from the same manufacturer, but the way it attaches to the kits is different. So one's for the Hobby Boss and Dragon, and the other one's for Hobby Boss. And it sort of perplexes me a little bit. You sort of think, do you really need to make it that difficult? The length of them is different. Some of the parts set up are different, and you'd think it's the identical gun. You know, why do we need to make it so different? But with the VK45, sorry, that one's for the VK4502, forgive me, and that one's for the King Tiger. Sorry, I got that wrong. I said the Porsche. You know what I mean. So why do we need to make the difference? Well, that one has the internal turret detail, and this one, I'm fairly certain, doesn't. So we have this section here, which will go into the turret more, whereas this one only has that little baffle. So the gun will be replaced, and then it's got the sort of recoil mechanism that's going to cover the front of that, whereas that is going to replace that. So it's kind of surprising to me. I wasn't really expecting that the same gun would need different tailored approaches, basically just based on the kit. So that one sort of knocked me back a bit. I wasn't really foreseeing that. Next, we'll cover really quickly. Here's just some painting masks. So I've got a few older kits there, and the decals on them are just horrid. They're old, they're yellowed. Yes, I can recondition them a little bit, but I'm worried that after I've put them on and sealed them in and everything like that, they might yellow over time. So best way to avoid that is with stencil templates. So these are for airbrushing, obviously. I have heard of people using them for brushwork. I don't know how that would work really. I could really see the paint running underneath for the brush, but yeah, anyway, people have. I won't be, that's for sure. So little simple stenciling template from Voyager model. I thought that was quite nice. And then I picked up another one here, which has got a few basic stencils on it, and the numbering system. So a couple of different designs there. And obviously you can do, your white number and then have the black inner or red inner or whatever it happens to be. So a bit different. They also have some unit markings, identification markings up top here on this one, which I thought was pretty good and not too bad. Moving on again. Another barrel for the 88 Porsche turret. Tacom kit this time. Different once more. I missed that one. And Tamiya masking for tires. So this is just basically a template for airbrushing the road wheels on Panzer 3, Panzer 4. It should work on a Panzer 3. I'm not sure why they have separate sets. The wheels should be the same. But so Panzer 3, basically Panzer 3, Panzer 4, basically set the wheels in there. You've already sprayed them black, put them in. That'll cover them over. Cover over the rubber section of the tire, and then just spray them with your colors. Normally I wouldn't bother with something like this, but I've got, I think last count, maybe half a dozen different Panzer 4 chassis there. So I thought, yeah, that'll save me a bit of time. So pick that one up, nice and easy. And lastly, for the build for the VK4502. Sorry, not the VK4502. Same customer. He wants the Lion from Amusing Hobbies, the low from Amusing Hobbies in 135. Now he's asked for me to scratch build some shirts and for it, similar to like a Panther, early model Panther would have. So I looked at it and I thought, yeah, I can scratch build it, but I thought, I wonder if anyone does an aftermarket set. And there we go, ET Models, Panther D, fender and side skirts. So I was actually really impressed when I found that. I'm not going to use the fenders at all. It's just going to be the side skirts and the brackets, but that's okay. That has saved me a heck of a lot of scratch building. And once again, that was only, I think it was like $12. So what about $9 US? So from ET Models, for that's specifically for the Tamiya Panther, but I'm going to be ad hocing this to the low. But I thought that's pretty cool. Their instructions, nice and simple as well. When you open this up, it'll give you a full diagram of where everything goes. So I've just left it for the time being. But yeah, not too bad. I did say last thing, but one very, very last thing before we wrap it up for the day, we're going to have a short one today, is some airbrush camo masking for the Tiger tank. So the Henschel turreted King Tiger tank. And this is the Octopus masking set. So you can see a lot of different circles and everything there. So this will be put on the actually this very tank, so put onto the Henschel tank, and this is made by Border Tools, and I thought this was pretty cool. So like a lot of things these days, it's made in China, but we'll crack this open, I think, and we'll have a look at this while we're here, because I'm gonna have to open this anyway. And because I haven't got my scissors, use the good old scalpel. And I've never used a masking set really. I've usually just done my own, but I thought this would save a bit of time. And there we go. So the first thing you can see is it's got cutouts for the patterns, and then you've got the circles as well within the same patterns. So some of them are blank. That one's got it in there, and we'll just check the other sheet. Yeah, more again. So it's really painting masks for the whole vehicle. Hopefully you can see that. It's a bit difficult to get it to show up. And to be honest, I was expecting a little bit more in terms of the circles for the mask on this one. That is kind of strange to me. I was expecting a bit more than that, but that's all right. I bought two of them, so so we'll use the other one as well and see how this goes. But yeah, we'll work that out. I figured that was a nice nice looking set, and yeah, it'd be good to see how that one works out goes. So we're pretty much going to call it a day any minute now. I'll put that aside for the time being. So yell out if you've got any questions, if there's anything you want to ask. What's coming up on the channel? Do you ever use oil paints? If so, what kind? Yes, Lee. Hello, mate. I certainly do. So I will actually see if I can grab some for you. 1 second. Sorry, I don't like leaving dead air, but we'll try and get this out if we can. Just got to remember where I put them. And that might prove more trouble than it's worth. Yeah, all right, we'll give that up. So I've gone to the effort of reorganizing my workspace, mate. And of course, I have no idea where I'll put them. I'll have to find two that I use. So firstly, I use Winsor Newton. So the Winsor Newton Artist Oils. So I had some of those ready to go when I first started, and they work quite well. And the other ones that I've purchased, the Abteilung range. Now, Abteilung, 502, 506, something like that, Abtai long range of paints, and they are actually quite excellent. But they come in more military shades, I suppose. So more direct shades. So if you're looking at your American vehicles, you've got your greens. You're looking at your German vehicles, you've got your greens, your browns, and your sand yellows. You've got your khakis. You've got all sorts of stuff. So they'll come in various shades, and you can get specific ones for infantry uniforms as well. So I'll just see if I've got some of those handy. 1 second. So like these little guys that I'm working on, or have worked on. I'm not real good with figures, so they look like they've got a bit of a tan there. But so these little guys, you can get specific colors to add wear and shading to their uniforms, and that's from the Abtai range. These guys were painted just with the airbrush Tamiya green, and then the highlighting was done with just a Tamiya pastel. So you can get little pastel sets from them, and I'll have to dig out the specific one. But yeah, so that's that. As far as oils goes, mate, that's pretty much all I use. Enamels, I pretty much stick to Humbrol whenever I need to use enamels, and that's just because I know what I'm going to get with a Humbrol. Even those little tins can be a pain in the backside. The paint itself is usually pretty good quality. So yeah, Winsor Newton or Abtai Lung are the two brands that I use for oils. Alrighty, so we're just going to call it a day in another couple of minutes. So we'll give it another 3 minutes, and we'll call it a day. No problem, Lee. Sorry, mate. I know I've got them here somewhere. I just don't know where I put them. So I'll chuck the photos up on my Facebook page and show you exactly what I'm talking about. I'll have a hunt for them and dig them out, and yeah, show you which ones I'm referring to, so you can see exactly what the products are if you're interested. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So anyone who wants to volunteer to do about 1,500 track links for me, by all means, let me know. Yes, these are fun. No, I've actually probably got more than that. I think this model is how many is on this one? I think it was 270 on this one, so it's 270 on the other one. And then I've got the two King Tigers, so they'll be about the same. And then I've got the low on top of that. So no, maybe 1,500. 1,500 is probably around about the ballpark. So yeah, fun. But I've got plenty of kits to review. I've got some Kitty Hawk ones. I've got some Hasegawa ones. And on my next giveaway video, so we do the giveaway video at the end of the month, I'm going to make an announcement for the premium subscribers to my channel, because my little birds of prey are not ready yet. But that doesn't mean that the premium subscribers go empty-handed. So we're going to have a giveaway of a kit that I've already built there, and I've purchased the kit itself as well. So that's an option. So you can have the pre-built kit, or you can have the kit itself. And we're going to have that announcement for the premium subscribers coming up this month. So thank you, everybody, for joining me and watching me struggle with these things. Yeah, I've said enough about them. I'll shut up. But I hope that helped you a little bit. And if you have any questions, please leave them on my Facebook page or send me a personal message on Facebook, and I will happily reply. I don't know everything, but I've been doing this hobby for quite some time now, so I'm usually pretty good at nutting stuff out. But thank you for watching. Thank you for comments and questions. And yeah, thank you for subscribing to the channel. I really appreciate all the support and everyone that subscribes. It actually means a huge amount to me, so thank you. And we'll see you next week for the next Q&A, once I can figure out how to turn this off, which doesn't want to do. There we go. All right. See you later.